And good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm running a little late, obviously, but that happens once in a while. People are strolling into the chat, and I don't necessarily have a theme for today, but it is the first week of my the first day of birthday week. Yes, just a reminder on Friday show, it is the 300th episode of the Morning Night Live, the 600 subscriber special, and the big dog's birthday. Yes, it will be my birthday. I'll be older and older and older just on Friday. So, let's just hit the intro and get into the headlines today. See you in a second. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Night. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live on this Monday, March 30th, 2020. The 296th episode. 4 more to go till 300, which is on Friday. And I am so glad that some of you have made it already. Although I didn't start any of this. I just started this stuff a minute ago. I didn't even have everything set up. So it may take a while for people to get the notifications and things like that. But hey, sometimes that happens. So hope you're all having a good morning and had a decent weekend, despite the fact that we're in the middle of Corona apocalypse. Is what it is. We all got to do our best to make it through this very, very trying time. And so I'm glad some of you have decided to spend it with me, and I appreciate it. Johnny, I'm sorry that I waited till you started driving, but at least you can hear it while you're driving. It just, that's how it goes. I know a lot of my trucking friends listen while they're in the truck. So, it is what it is. Hope the appliance business is still vital. Man, it's interesting because the businesses that they say, what do they call them? Essential businesses. Now, I work in a couple essential businesses. Obviously, one is moving packages. I work for UPS, and we've been moving a lot of packages, and we're probably going to get slammed over the next couple weeks, especially when people start getting those checks. Oh, my God. I know if we get those checks, I know we're not doing anything with it. We're putting it away and just whatever. But anyway, so I spent the weekend. First of all, yesterday I spent painting a condo that we're trying to sell, which is a really bad time to sell anything, especially since our renters already moved out. But so we're painting the condo and listening to the president yesterday, and I got a little annoyed with the president yesterday. Because, Johnny, I know you sell appliances. That's why I said that. You sell them. You're not in the truck delivering them. Anyway, again, vital business to me. You know what? If my stove goes kaput, I need to get a stove, and I can't do anything. But the only place you can get it is an appliance store. But anyway, So anyway, the president kind of annoyed me this weekend because he did this tweet where he said something about it was about the ratings of the coronavirus task force daily briefings, and I was like, God, you know what? This is just one of those times when I wish someone would take the president's phone away. And my friend Marsupial Gamer actually because I don't follow the president on Twitter. I figure. You don't have to follow the president on Twitter to get almost every tweet he tweets, because everyone retweets everything he does, and people either bitching about it or people are laughing about it or whatever. And so I saw this as just a standalone tweet, and it was this. And it was kind of, now I only saw this part of it. I didn't see what he was tweeting before. So here's what he was tweeting when he tweeted this yesterday. Now I also wasn't really paying attention to the quotation mark, and I just saw this tweet. President Trump is a ratings hit. Since reviving the daily White House briefings, Mr. Trump and his coronavirus updates have attracted an audience of 8.5 million on cable news, roughly the viewership of this season finale of The Bachelor. Numbers are continuing to rise. On Monday, nearly 12.2 billion people watched Mr. Trump's briefing on CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. According to Nielsen, Monday Night Football numbers, millions more are watching on ABC, CBS, NBC, and online streaming sites. And the audience is expanding. On Monday, Fox News alone tracked 6.2 million viewers for the president's briefing, an astounding number for a 6 p.m. cable broadcast, more akin to the viewership for a more popular time sitcom. The CBS News poll said 13% of Republicans trusted the news media for information about the virus. And that's a quote from Michael M. Grinbaum from the New York Times. Now, I saw this as a standalone thing. And so I'm thinking, why would you care about the ratings of this? And then Marshall P. Gamer brought it to my attention that, yes, he's quoting the New York Times and frankly explained the real reason they don't want to cover the press briefings. He's exploding their fake news narratives on a daily basis. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That made sense for a moment. And so I went to his timeline. Where he's quoting this. Now, I don't follow the president, so I didn't really read what he was tweeting about when he wrote that. So hopefully, let's see if it's in here, because he tweets quite a bit. Let's see, that was at, oh boy, I have to scroll way back. And I don't even know, I wonder if he does all this tweeting himself. But, let's see here. Now, he tweets a lot of stuff. I mean, one of the complaints that Jake Tapper, who highlighted that to was, someone said that there could be up to 200,000 deaths, and you're tweeting about your ratings. Well, let's think about what he tweeted just before that, before he was talking about his ratings. Hopefully it's here. It should be coming up. Where is it? Well, he tweets a lot of stuff. Hang on a second. Now I just blew it. Sorry, guys. Let's see. He tweeted this at 12:48 p.m. There we go. That's the easy way to find it. Now let's go 12:48 p.m. 20 hours ago. All right. All right, let's see here. When he tweeted that, he just before that had tweeted something to the fact that, let's just leave it this way. He tweeted something basically to the fact that some of the news media were talking about not showing the press briefings because they were saying that he just tells all these lies and blah 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 blah. Here it is right here. So here's the quote right here. Okay. Now, just before that he wrote, so much of the lamestream medium is writing and broadcasting stories with facts that are made up and knowingly wrong. They are doing it by quoting unnamed sources that simply do not exist. These are very dangerous and corrupt people who will do anything to win. Name your sources. He was on a little bit of a rant about the media, and then the big problem was that he was mad because some of these outlets are talking openly about, well, they shouldn't even show his press briefings. And part of it is because the ratings are good, and he's getting more approval rating because of these things. Now, whether that's good or bad, I don't care. But it's not really for the media to decide whether or not you're going to air something like this from the President of the United States and from his team that is trying to trying to, inform the nation of what's going on. So I just, it put it in a little more perspective why he would tweet that. And also, to the Jake Tappers of the world who are bitching about Trump tweeting about that. He's been tweeting about a lot of things. He's been tweeting a lot of information out on his Twitter feed about things that are happening. And I think he has a team probably that does some of it for him, because a lot of these are just things that the federal government is doing, and a lot of people follow him. So, it gets more people to read it. I don't care how you get the information out. But now my problem personally with his tweeting is his tweet feed sometimes comes off as him thinking out loud. And I don't know, I don't necessarily think that every thought that comes to your head needs to go on to Twitter, but that's his style. That's how we know what he's thinking. And for those of us who kind of get that, okay, whatever, but people are going to bitch about it. So anyway, all right, before we move on, let's get into some headlines. But I want to say good morning to everybody who's here in the chat. Now that people are starting to finally roll in, good morning first to Chi-Town Jay, who gets the bell for being here first. There you go, sir. Good morning to Zero the Hero, Tyler F, Johnny Hellcat, who unfortunately I didn't start till he was on his way to work. Good morning, Jay Wolf, Advocatus Diaboli, Maniac Man. Let's see, Skeptalk, what's going on, my man? Hello, Kevin Stillwell, Cynical Lindsay, and there's a bunch of people in the background lurking and whatnot. So anyway, good morning, everybody. I'm so happy that you've come to spend this time with me. Skep, it's nice to see you in the chat. I don't get you over here that much, but I do appreciate when you're here. Good morning, hey Larry, too. I just yell, hey Larry. All right. So the big news over the weekend, yes, the president did extend the Chinese coronavirus guidelines to the end of April, hoping for a June 1st return to normal. So the interesting thing is that the end of April does not start with June 1st. That starts with May 1st. But, we just got to figure it out. We got to get people to follow the guidelines, stay home, not spread the sickness. And as they're quickly figuring out ways to detect it, for example, there's a new authorization from Abbott Labs that has basically a 5-minute self-administered test, which is great because that test does not require the people who doing the testing to change their PPEs every time they do a test. There's a couple tests that are like that, and that's good news. Other things, FDA issues emergency authorization of Trump touted drug to treat Chinese coronavirus. Here, I'll actually pop this one out here. Here's from the Daily Wire. FDA issues emergency authorization of Trump touted drug to treat coronavirus. On Sunday night, the Food and Drug Administration issued an emergency use authorization for hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, drugs often used to treat malaria and recently touted by President Trump as a possible game changer in the fight against the China-originated novel coronavirus, or COVID-19. The United States Department of Health and Human Services announced in a statement on Sunday that the FDA will allow the drugs to be donated to the Strategic National Stockpile to be distributed and prescribed by doctors to hospitalized teen and adult patients with COVID-19 as appropriate when a clinical trial is not available or feasible, a Politico report said. The statement noted that Sandoz donated 30 million doses of hydroxychloroquine to the stockpile, and Bayer donated 1 million doses of chloroquine. So that's fantastic if it works. And all I know is that there's been some limited use. What it doesn't necessarily cure the coronavirus, or COVID-19, the illness that comes from the coronavirus. But what so far it helps alleviate the symptoms, helps lessen the symptoms. There's several. It's not the only one too. There's several different drugs that they're trying different combinations of different drugs have been helping people to, they've been helping people alleviate the symptoms and hasten their return to normal. It doesn't kill the virus because they're not necessarily antivirals, but they do help. Apparently, one of them helps retain zinc in your bloodstream and therefore helps alleviate the symptoms. But I don't know how that all works. All I know is that they've done some tests in France. They've done some tests in the U.S. now. They're starting to use it in New York, and they're using that as their clinical trials. Since it is a drug that they already know the side effects, they already know it's been approved for 80 years for the treatment of malaria. It's been approved, I don't know how many years, but decades for the treatment of severe arthritis. And then it's used for one other thing. But so they basically, and because it's already approved for those things, doctors could have already been prescribing it as an off-label use of the product. But you know what? They do need to do the test. They got to make sure that, what they're going to do, and that it's going to work. So, but now that the FDA has approved it for this formerly off-label use, they can go ahead and they're already doing the trials. They're already using it as off-label, but now it gives them a little more leeway to use it. So apparently, Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo is on the same page as President Trump when it comes to the popular anti-malaria drug, permitting trials of hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine, and azithromycin to commence in his state. Let's see how it works, Trump said Sunday with regard to the New York trials. It may or it may not. On the same day as the FDA authorization, Novartis chief executive Vas Nashimshadhan, I'm sorry, I butchered that obviously, told a Swiss newspaper that hydroxychloroquine is our biggest hope in combating COVID-19. Preclinical studies in animals, as well as first data from clinical studies, show that hydroxychloroquine kills the coronavirus. Nara Simhan told Sonntag Zeitung. Boy, they're just trying to kill me with some of these. The foreign language is killing me this morning. Anyway, we're working with Swiss hospitals on possible treatment protocols for the clinical use of the drug, but it's too early to say anything definitively. The French government also cleared a larger pathway for the use of chloroquine this weekend, officially sanctioning the drug for certain patients affected with the novel coronavirus, the Daily Wire noted. So, you know what? It's funny because I remember about, was it 2 weeks ago? Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know. These days all run together now that we're in the, since it's all I've talked about for 2 weeks. But the 2 weeks ago, I remember seeing that in a tweet. Some guy was doing an interview and talking about the clinical trials, or that they've been trying this in certain places. Now, that guy was interviewing someone who turned out to possibly be just a complete fraud. But then a couple days later, the Colonel, Dr. Deborah Birx, is that her name? From the Trump team, also mentioned the drug. And then Trump started talking about the drug. And then I started seeing news about them doing trials on it in France. They were doing some trials on it in Australia. They'd been using it in China. And so, at least it seemed, though, even though the one guy was probably talking, I was asked, or probably heard about it from somewhere else. And I was skeptical then, and I was skeptical. I wasn't skeptical. I was just, let's say, hopefully optimistic, but not counting on this to happen. But the fact that the fish cleaner people decided to eat some afterwards, and the press has been just completely savaging Trump over talking about this drug. I'm glad that they are at least figuring out it's a possibility. So there you go. Now, a couple more hellos. Good morning, Galactic North. How you doing, my friend? And Wikipedia snippet. What's happening? Nice to see you. What's up? A few more people. Okay, people are starting to roll in. You probably if you're getting here late because you got a notification late, that's because I never hit the button until about 9:02, which means I was still setting up at. In fact, I didn't even start setting up till 8:55. I had some articles ready, but I didn't. I got home a little late this morning, and so that's how it's going to be on Mondays. Here's the reason also Mondays are going to be tough. Because UPS has gone to a Tuesday through Saturday schedule. And some of us who've been there longer are still working on Mondays. And we'll probably... I still have a Monday through Friday schedule. And I usually, work out... I usually start my show an hour after I leave UPS, which is... I usually get out of there by 8 o'clock. And today I didn't get out of there till later than normal. So that's why the show's a little late today. It happens once in a while, but it's all good. Good morning, D.I. Freighter. Did I say hi to you? Did I even say... You just got here. Okay. Good morning, D.I. Freighter. What's up? All right. So what else? Other headlines. Fossey says U.S. could have 100,200 deaths from Chinese coronavirus. I suppose the question is, where is he getting those numbers? Here's the Breitbart article on that. Sunday, during an interview on CNN's State of the Union, Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said the coronavirus pandemic could cause between 100,000 and 200,000 deaths in the United States. Interesting. Fossey said, Jake, to be honest with you, we don't really have any firm idea. These things are called models. When someone creates a model, they put in various assumptions, and the model is only as good as or accurate as your assumptions. Whenever the models come in, they give the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. Generally, the reality is somewhere in the middle. I've never seen a model of the diseases that I've dealt with where the worst case came out. They always overshoot. Of the diseases that I've dealt with where the worst case came out, so when you use a number like 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million, that's almost certainly off the chart. It's not impossible, but very unlikely. He added, looking at what we're seeing now, would say between 100,000 and 200,000 cases, but I don't want to be held to that because, deaths, we're going to have millions of cases, but I just don't think we really need to make a projection when it's such a moving target that can so easily be wrong and mislead people. But guess what? They certainly been running with that 2 million number when that first study came out, which turned out to be a study 2 million people if nobody did anything, period, which is kind of stupid. And who knows? Again, it's spreading all over the world. So, just don't understand why it's so important to talk about what could happen. This is only going to stir up more panic for this disrupting the supply chains. Yeah, I kind of agree with it there, Lindsay. It's some of the media. I know this is going to be sacrilege to some people, but some of the media almost seems like they're cheerleading for the worst scenario. It's not, again, I never heard. Well, okay, wait, let me check that a little bit. When the N1H1 came out, I think they hyped that too quite a bit, but not nearly as much as this one. Now, could this be way worse? Absolutely. It spreads faster. Obviously, it's affecting millions of people around the world. But the fact that we're not, I guess a good example would be, look, there are so many cases where people are getting very sick, but there's so many cases where people don't even know they had it because it seemed like a mild cold or a mild, they had minor symptoms, and they're saying, go home and do this and this and this and this. So, it's the, what's that? Is it the burning building theory? There's some, they want to cover fires instead of the happy neighborhood gathering. Okay, they want the shipwreck, instead of a kid scraped his knee falling off a bicycle. That just, if it bleeds, it leads, and they are looking for it to bleed. Plus, you have the extra element of how much a vast majority of the media hates the president. Period. They don't even hide it anymore. So it's just one of those things. Related, worst case scenarios aren't the only scenarios. This is from the American Spectator. Are experts allowed views that aren't uniformly dark? Good question. In February, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention held a conference call on COVID-19 and warned, as the New York Times reported, that 160 to 214 million Americans could be infected and 200,000 to 1.7 million might die. Here's the article. On March 3rd, the World Health Organization noted that globally, 3.4% of those infected with the virus died. These numbers have become frequent talking points, even though they presented an inflated picture based on cases confirmed because patients had symptoms in countries with dubious healthcare systems. We are living in a new climate where the scarier the factoid, the more the credibility it can claim. The problem is the experts don't know this number either. Stanford University medical professor Jayanta Bhattacharya told me after he became alarmed at some of the high estimates floating around, including numbers that, for example, didn't factor in the effects of social distancing. And it bothers Bhattacharya that risk assessments see risk only in not following guidelines when there can be risk in following them. There's mortality on both sides of this, he explained. Understand, I'm staying home for 14 days, as the doctor recommended, after exhibiting symptoms of the coronavirus. When the 14 days are up, I'll follow what's left of President Donald Trump's coronavirus task force 15 days to slow the spread plan. If the guidelines continue, I will continue to adhere to them. I know I'm not an expert, so I'll go along with what doctors recommend, but I can still voice skepticism about the dire predictions that the nation has to hunker down for many months, and I can wonder if a multi-month shutdown, which some officials are suggesting, will produce economic outcomes that are bad for human health and longevity. And I'm open to news that doesn't offer the worst possible information. As of Wednesday, the mortality rate in the United States was about 1.5%, with a patient pool that largely was symptomatic. Dr. Anthony Fauci told Congress he believes the coronavirus mortality rate is 1%, 10 times higher than the 0.1% for the common flu. We had 20,000 deaths this common flu season, by the way. Bhattacharya sifted through those studies, corrected for certain factors, and came up with a mortality rate closer to 0.5%. But he won't trust that estimate until there's a study to back it up. It's not great news, as it portends once healthy adults hooked up to ventilators and vulnerable people in caskets. We'd all like the magic number to be 0. The heartbreak ahead. There is heartbreak ahead. Deborah Birx, a doctor who is the task force lead coordinator, shared the heartbreaking story of her grandmother who had to live with the knowledge that as a child she brought home the great 1918 flu bug that killed her own mother. Remember that the next time you get cabin fever. What's more, the death rate stays on the low side only if healthcare workers have protective gear and hospitals have beds and ventilators. And that's not a universal situation. I'm struck at one area of agreement between Trump and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Trump told Fox News that his goal was to ease the guidelines and open things up to a very large section of the country as we near the end of the historic battle with the invisible enemy. Trump threw out Easter, April 12th, which he later called a beautiful timeline. Figure it's a goal. Ottawa professor of law and medicine, Amir Atarian, told the Times nobody voted in Donald Trump thinking he would become a one-man death panel. Empowered to dispense American lives like cannon fodder. See, now that's the shit I'm talking about. People are so fucking... Do you know what? Donald Trump wants people to die for the stock market. Donald Trump doesn't care about any of you. All he cares about is money. He'll sacrifice your grandma for a buck. God, I hate these people. For his part, Farley told reporters no one wants to tone things down in New York City, but there could be a more flexible approach in parts of the country. Cuomo, the governor of the state with the country's worst infection rate, has spoken to the same effect. On Monday, he told reporters, you can't stop the economy forever. Cuomo has flirted with sending young people or those who have had the virus and are now immune back to work earlier than others. Presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden's reaction to Trump's Easter talking point? The former vice president told CBS News, the only thing we can do worse than telling the American people the truth is in fact raise false hopes. And then when it doesn't occur, they say, oh my God, something really must be worse than I thought it was. That's the conventional wisdom from inside the Beltway, that there's a duty to shut down everything because there's no downside to an abundance of caution. And somehow leaders instill trust by not wanting to open some of the doors. There's no caution on either side, said Bhattacharya. If the end of the quarantine is tomorrow, that could be a disaster. If we continue the quarantine for a couple of months, that could be a disaster too. So in any case, no matter what he does, it could be a disaster. That's good to know. That's good to know. Good morning, Irish Rose. How are you? Glad you're here. I'm here smiling. All right, folks, just a moment of shill time. Just a reminder that the Morning Night Live is brought to you by the viewers of the Morning Night Live. That would be you. It's sponsored by viewers like you. Support the show with your donations and have your super chats read live on the show. Just click that link in the chat that says Streamlabs next to it, or you can just look right down here, PDawgNight.live. You can go there. Also, a reminder that I am on Twitter's Minds and Gab as at PDawgNight if you are on social media. Also, please share the show. Hit the share arrow below the screen and share this out on your favorite social media. And finally, if you like what we do, hit that thumbs up button. Except DuckDawg. But DuckDawg's not here yet. So I shouldn't have any thumbs down today unless DuckDawg shows up. But every day that DuckDawg's here, I have one thumbs down. It's not a slight against me. That's just a thing between me and DuckDawg. So don't get on DuckDawg's case. It's just a thing. But only one. Nobody else is allowed. Just saying. All right. What else? Let's see. There's got to be a good one. Let's see. Dr. Burke says full mitigation is vital because no metro area will be spared. Before I even read another article, because you know what? In fact, I'm just going to skip the articles. Let me go quick. Oh, let's look at the good, bad, and ugly of the stimulus plan. You know that stimulus plan that they put out for this thing? I wonder if this is the same one that I already read. The coronavirus stimulus. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So remember that little stimulus package they put together, the $2 trillion and possibly up to $6 trillion, which is all going into, all that's going right back onto added to the national debt, which is already at $22 trillion. Hello, TC Ball. How you doing? Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look. Is this the same one? Oh, this isn't even the same article. I had an article on this already. The hell is that? 30-second stretch ends back pain. They have all these. If you've noticed all these ads about back pain and there's 30-second stretch, and the picture always looks like a new sexual position. It's just weird. Anyway, the good, bad, and the ugly of the new coronavirus bill. The House of Representatives on Friday passed the Senate's $2 trillion coronavirus relief package and sent it to the president. What initially began as a bill designed to help workers and families hurt by job loss or disruption caused by government measures to fight coronavirus, it morphed into an 880-page behemoth. Of course, at least it's not the 1,440-page behemoth that it was when the Democrats decided to rewrite it and then kind of got their asses handed to them by everybody but the press, because the press loves Democrats, but whatever. Here's the good parts. Relief is temporary and targeted and designed to help families and workers fast. That's good. Coronavirus has hit working families hard. If they're not sick, they can't work because the government has kicked them off the job to implement social distancing and other public health measures. Small business owners, who generally live on small margins, are told their businesses must close, even though the mortgage, utility bills, and payroll are still due. The Coronavirus Aid and Relief and Economic Security, it's called the CARES Act. Oh, they always give them such special names and acronyms. Was initially drafted to support these people to make up for the government's mandated sacrifices required in a public health crisis. And the good news is, essentially, they did that. While advocates of limited government traditionally oppose this kind of state-run care, conservatives and even some libertarians acknowledge that this is the limited role government should play, particularly when it's the government forcing people off the job for reasons of public health. What's more, these provisions are temporary, designed to help families through a crisis not of their own making. The second part, second good thing, direct relief to families. Now, I normally and still have issues with this entire bill. But, I suppose in the end of the day, the government's forcing people to stop, so the government's helping people out. I'm not a fan of this bill, but whatever. Second good thing, direct relief to families. All U.S. residents with an adjusted gross incomes up to $75,000 per person, so couples would be $150,000, will get a one-time $1,200 check or $2,400 for couples rebate payment. They are also eligible for an additional $500 per child. Payments will start phasing out for earners above these income thresholds and will not go to single filers earning more than $99,000. Head of household filers will with more than $146,500 or more than $198,000 for joint filers with no children. The initial draft of legislation put out by Majority Leader Mitch McConnell had made these payments regressive and based on 2018 tax filings, creating a situation that would punish poor families who would need the help the most, and failing to recognize major changes in circumstances that can happen in 2 years. Thanks to the work of Senators Josh Hawley and Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton, in particular, these payments were updated to be based on 2018 or 2019 returns. Checks will go to all families as well as seniors and the disabled, not just to those who had a tax bill. Another one, good thing, expanded unemployment insurance for those kicked off the job by coronavirus. Unemployment insurance will be expanded for 4 months to those who cannot work because they're either sick with coronavirus in their workplace they're sick with coronavirus, their workplace is closed due to government public health mandates, those who are paid while teleworking are exempt, or they are caring for someone with coronavirus or for a child who's home due to coronavirus-related school closures. Now, this one, so they expanded the employment insurance, and basically what they're doing is normally when you take an unemployment insurance, you get a portion of what you would make. It's not like you get paid your entire salary. I think what they've done with this mostly is just added to it. I think up to another $600 per month on top of what you would normally get as far as employment insurance. But anyway, the trick here, however, is getting access to relief. Unemployment offices around the country are overwhelmed and unresponsive. Even the unemployed websites keep crashing. Yeah, well, they had 3 billion people apply for unemployment in 1 week. Or 3.2 billion, whatever. Now here's the weird thing about this though. So a big reason this huge surge in unemployment benefits or people applying for unemployment, it's just like seasonal workers. There's a lot of people who work seasonally that like work 9 months out of the year or whatever, maybe sometimes 6 months out of the year, and then they get laid off, right? They get laid off so that during the time of the year that they don't work, they can collect unemployment. Well, for example, one of my jobs where I work, not UPS, the other one, well, they laid off because they, the obvious, when they closed most restaurants, and I worked at a restaurant, and now it does a lot of delivery. Well, they laid off half the staff rather than just saying, we're not going to schedule it for these weeks, so that they could collect unemployment. So there's a lot of businesses that are just, rather than, now the small business part of this bill helps small businesses pay employees who they keep employed, and they're required to keep their employees employed. But a lot of places have already just laid people off, not knowing that this was whether or not this bill was going to get passed. So of course you're going to have just a giant surge of people filing for unemployment, because that's the way that people can still get paid. Some businesses are like, you know what, we can either keep you on and not pay you as much because you're not working these hours, we're not, there's no hours, or if we lay you off, you can file for unemployment and you can still make some money until we hire you back, or whatever. So it's just one of those tricks that some businesses do already. Well, lots of businesses are doing it right now. So anyway, another good part of this bill is it's taking care of hospitals as well as state and local governments. The measure provides $100 billion for hospitals to help them deal with capacity issues, lack of equipment, and patient treatment. State and local governments, some of which are struggling with lack of revenue, unemployment insurance demands due to business closures, and comply with government public health recommendations, blah, 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 blah. They're helping hospitals. They're helping the hospitals and local governments who run hospitals, etc. So that's the good. Those are the good things about it. Here's some of the bad things. The $450 billion fund for corporate lending, doled out largely at the discretion of the Treasury Secretary and amplified by $4 trillion in lending from the Federal Reserve. While small businesses operate on thin margins, large businesses have more of a cushion. That is, if they are not using all their profits to juice their market price by buying back all their stock. That said, if the goal of government support in a public health crisis is to help people remain employed, there is an argument that some corporate assistance may be warranted. Now, that's what I was saying before, because people were just, oh, you're giving money to these huge corporations, yada, yada, yada. Well, yeah, because when the people are able to go back into the public and go back to work, you want them to have jobs still, right? You want the companies to still be running. Now, the legislation provides around $450 billion with a B of loans ostensibly for struggling industries, cities, and states, all at the discretion of Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. Rules added to the bill will order an inspector general and an accountability committee to oversee how the money is spent, but oversight is only as good as the overseers. If an oversight board is used to weaponize a political agenda in any direction, it will lose credibility. It is also unclear how much authority this oversight board will actually have. And now, the other part of that is the president did a signing statement saying that we're not going to listen to the people overseeing this. So it could be, some said it's a slush fund. I don't know. It possibly could have turned out that way, or it's just they don't want Adam Schiff to be in charge of telling you where these monies goes. Anyway, and they wrote a special provision in that no Trump property could be held by the bill. So who knows? Anyway, also bad, the special provisions for the airline industry. The airlines were the only industry specifically carved out in legislation for the explicit support. The airline industry will get a $58 billion, half in grants and half in loans, as well as a reprieve from 3 major excise taxes. Half the funds go toward the continuation of payment of employees' wages and salaries and benefits, while the other half goes to loans and loan guarantees for passenger airlines, repair stations, and ticket agents. The law also stipulates that borrowing corporations must maintain their employment levels to the extent practicable practicable. That's a weird word. Until September 30th. So they can't start laying people off. If you're going to take this money, you got to keep them on. You can't play that little unemployment trick. Yeah, by Friday, United Airlines already announced that the company would be taking the money, but very likely laying people off in the fall. So that's not good. And then the ugly is the whole stinking process. The full picture of this bill isn't clear without understanding how flawed the process of passage was. In the Senate, staff scrambled for drafts of the legislation that somehow were only available to lobbyists. The final version of the bill was released just 20 minutes before the Senate's vote. The majority leader's office did not alert senators to what the new changes were. No one had time to read the final 880-page bill before it passed. In the House, Representative Thomas Massie requested a recorded vote on the biggest single relief bill in history. Now that's, when that at the time, and everyone's saying, calling him an asshole for doing this, it's like, well, after thinking about it, because it came up in Twitter and people were calling him an ass, and John Kerry and Donald Trump agreed that Thomas Massie was a terrible person when all he was asking for was, hey, can we get a roll call vote? Can we look at the bill? Can we do something first? Why are we just, after the fact, I thought, what he was asking for was not all that crazy. Anyway, in the House of Representatives, Thomas Massie requested a recorded vote on the biggest single relief bill in history. A recorded vote simply means a vote of every member is written down, as opposed to everyone simply nodding at one another in agreement. Because they passed a bill for $2 trillion by unanimous consent. What? Anyway, Massie was denied his request by both Republicans and Democrats, who refused to grant him the sufficient second necessary to proceed. Worse still, there were enough members present to constitute a quorum there were enough members present to constitute the quorum necessary to hold a recorded vote. Walking off the floor, Massie called it a cover-up. They had enough people there to pass the bill, he said, but they still refused to have a recorded vote, and they told me they were trying to protect members. In denying Massie what is normally the rote institutional courtesy of a sufficient second, the House of Representatives passed a $2 trillion bill without any members having to go on record for it. And then finally, the more ugly, the provisions that will surge layoffs. And this is what I was talking about. In the hours before the Senate vote, a group of 4 Republican senators identified a provision they were assumed was a drafting error made in haste. Individuals eligible for unemployment insurance will receive 100% of their income at the state level, but also a $600 check from the federal government. The provision will incentivize layoffs, they argued, because individuals will actually make more money being unemployed than they will at their jobs. The amendment by Ben Sasse to fix the provision was defeated in a 48-48 tie. And that was what Bernie Sanders was railing about. If you saw the other day, they have lots of video out of Bernie Sanders screaming, these people are terrible people because, oh my God, someone might make $600 more than they would normally. Senator Sanders, if you were someone who worked at a job and you can make $600 more a month being laid off and unemployed than you could be working at the job, do you think maybe, just maybe, you might go for the unemployment part? Because they've already set it up that you can make 100%. Normally you don't, when you're on unemployment, you don't get 100% of the income that you get at your job. It's usually around 60% or 65%. I don't even know the exact number. But now they've set it up so people get 100% of their income while they're being laid off, not working. And now they've added another $600 on top of that. Might not be so bad being unemployed. Might have to stay in your house, but Anyway. And then also the unrelated shit that they put in the bills. Thanks, Democrats. And a couple Republicans, too. If legislators and lobbyists are skilled at anything, it's never letting a good crisis go to waste. Oh, the famous words from Rahm Emanuel. The CARES Act is an emergency coronavirus relief bill designed to help families and businesses impacted by a government's response to a public health crisis. But in crisis, there is opportunity. At least there is if securing government funding is your goal. Take Boeing, for example, the company with planes that keep crashing. They've got to fix that. The company got a special $17 billion carve-out for Boeing. The treatment of sunscreen innovation art is also mysteriously made it into the legislation. In fact, a bill to address coronavirus, a viral infection disease, mentions the word sunscreen 49 times. The bill provides for FDA approval of innovative sunscreens and largely benefits the French cosmetics giant L'Oreal, which has operations in Kentucky. Who lives in Kentucky? Tell me who in the... Oh my God. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is up for re-election in November, and they make the sunscreen components of L'Oreal makeup in Kentucky. Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund also got a boost when its spending limits were removed. This largely benefits Senate Appropriations Committee Chairman Richard Selby, Alabama, whose home state ports will be dredged as a result. One GOP aide characterized the decision as easy to give Shelby since he's been wanting it for years. Now, why not give it to him? Apparently, this coronavirus release bill is about wins for Richard Shelby. If only the Americans struggling to pay rent had such a willing advocate anywhere in the Senate leadership. The pro-labor lobby also got its claws into the bill with a requirement for those companies taking loans. For the length of the loan, companies must stay neutral in any attempt by their employees to organize a union. A direct slap at right-to-work states. Government self also grew larger. Even after receiving their annual pot of money for the year, big spending appropriators saw fit to lavish even more largesse onto areas of the government. Let's take a look at the sampling of what lawmakers will tell you was so very necessary to help the workers and families impacted by coronavirus. A $10 billion loan to the U.S. Postal Service. Extensions of $48 million in sex ed funding. $25 million in salaries and expenses for the House of Representatives. What? Now, granted, some people thought that was a raise for the House of Representatives. No. That's for the salaries and expenses of their staff and their expense accounts, blah, blah, blah. But adding $25 million just for that. Maybe they all need to get remote equipment to do their business from home. I don't know. $60 million for NASA. What does NASA have to do with the coronavirus? $500,000 for a water project in central Utah. $3 million for forest and rangeland research by the U.S. Forest Service. $78,000 payment to the Institute of American Indian and Alaska Native Culture and Arts Development. Coronavirus. $99 million for the Department of Energy, $25 million to the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, $75 million in grants to the National Endowment for the Arts, $75 million in grants for the National Endowment for Humanities, $75 million to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Oh, God, I wish there was a line item veto. And $7.5 million to the Smithsonian Institution and $50 million to the Institute of Museum and Library Services. All vital coronavirus prevention or not. What started as a meaningful relief effort for workers and families morphed, as it so often does, into a ride-along for unrelated and a few ridiculous provisions designed to benefit certain lawmakers or expand the bureaucracy. Even when facing down a pandemic, Congress just can't pass up the opportunity to benefit their re-election campaigns, their own projects, and those of their friends. All right, so in some ways, I just want to give an FTG to the entire Congress of the United States. But there you go. They're going to launch a virus into space. Yeah, that's exactly. There you go. They need to have a bill passed that all attachments to any bill must be germane to the bill. But you know how it goes. We can't have that. All right, let's get into a little Twitter time, because that's what we do here on the Morning Night Live. Before I do that, though, a couple quick thank yous. Kevin Stillwell, Necrosaw Collins, Tyler F, China virus. Oh no, I'm talking to the wrong people here. Necrosaw Collins, thank you for retweeting the tweet of the tweet going out of the tweet. And that's not even it either. No one, y'all share this video, please. Share this stream. I thought I'm looking at something else. Oh, Necrosaw Collins, you did. Thank you so much. And Necrosaw Collins, you're far more than an average Joe, by the way. All right. Let's get into the Twitters, because I bookmarked stuff all weekend. I don't even know if I should do this. Here's some things that annoyed me. Okay, here's one right here. Let's start with Manu Raju. So Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, stepping up her criticism. Quote, "The president, his denial at the beginning was deadly. His delaying of getting equipment where it's needed is deadly. I don't know what the scientists said to him. When did the president know about this? And what did he know?" Wow, he tweeted this to Jake Tapper. And she says on some program, she says, "Yes, I am saying that," telling Jake Tapper on CNN State of the Union that Trump downplaying the virus at the beginning had cost American lives. I want to know what Nancy Pelosi considers the beginning. Anybody? Does anyone know what Nancy Pelosi means? Because here's something she was saying at the time. Someone brought this up. So this was on March 20. The Trump administration expansion of its un-American travel ban is a threat to our security, our values, and the rule of law. How is a travel ban a threat to our security? I've never understood. She says that all the time. Well, this travel ban is a threat to our national security and our values and the rule of law. Barring more than 350 billion people from predominantly African countries from traveling to the U.S., this rule is discrimination. Now, this is what the day Donald Trump announced that he was banning travel from China. Okay, China. And she's talking about African companies, from predominantly African countries. Is China a predominantly African country? Although there are a lot of people in Africa from China. China's got their claws in a bunch of different countries in Africa. In fact, when I went to Nigeria in 2004, when I met my biological sisters and brothers, my biological father, my first 3 days in Nigeria were in Lagos. Stayed with my sister. She has a beautiful home there. And the first night we're in Lagos, that I'm in Lagos, and the people that came with me, our first night in Lagos, my sister says, "Hey, you know what? Let's go out for dinner. Let's go out for dinner." And I'm thinking, okay, cool. I'm my first time in Africa, first time in Nigeria. I'm in Lagos with my sister who I just met. Oh no, actually, I met my sister about a month earlier. I didn't. She lives in the States, but she also has a house in Nigeria. And I'm with my sister. She's going to take me out to dinner. I'm like, oh, this is great. We're going to go eat some traditional like Nigerian food. I'm like, this is going to be very cool. My sister takes us to a Chinese restaurant. And I thought this was so funny. I mean, I've come all the way to Nigeria. I figured the first food I'm going to eat is be some cool traditional African thing that I've never tried before. Nope. Fried rice, kung pao chicken, any same thing you'd get in any Chinese restaurant. It was hilarious. But anyway, Nancy Pelosi. So I'm thinking, so when does Nancy Pelosi think this began? I over and over and over, whenever someone says, "Oh, we've had 3 months to prepare," you hear me say it all the time, and it gets in my craw every single time. As of today, March 30th, 2020, it was almost 3 months ago, just now, that the Chinese government finally told the World Health Organization about this problem they were having in Wuhan, China. They first notified the WHO on December 31st that they were having this problem. Even though they'd been having the problem since early to mid-December, and in fact, the first case they've found now that's official was November 17th. So between November 17th and December 31st, before they told the World Health Organization that this might be a problem, this was spreading very quickly through that area of Wuhan, China. Now, Wuhan, China is a major city in China. And in fact, in Italy, northern Italy, where the Chinese have bought a couple different companies and have about 100,000 workers in Italy, they have direct daily flights from Wuhan, China. In fact, during that period of time between November 17th and December 30th, before they ever told the World Health Organization that this was a problem, and not even just a problem, not a pandemic, not a disease that's been human-to-human transmission, whatever, just a problem. They identified a new disease caused by a new virus they had never seen before. They waited until December 31st to notify the World Health Organization. Now, let's talk about the month of January, because so on January 3rd, that's when the world started hearing about this new virus that was affecting a lot of people in China. Now, by mid-January, the World Health Organization didn't say that this was an emergency. They've seen this new virus in China. Mid-January, they're saying there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission. So, well, if there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission, that's a good thing, right? Not that they said, they qualify with, not that couldn't be. But do you think that might be downplaying the virus? And then in the New York Times on January 23rd, 2020, there's an article in the New York Times, big newspaper. No evidence of human-to-human transmission. Still. Now, finally, I think it was around January 28th. I remember seeing stuff that, they might have some evidence of human-to-human transmission. The first case known to be human-to-human transmission. On January 30th, the World Health Organization decides, this is a health emergency, and declared it that. And on January 31st, the President of the United States said, you know what? We're tired of hearing about it. We are going to ban travel from China. The Trump administration's expansion of its un-American travel ban is a threat to our security. Nancy Pelosi, right after he did that. Now remember what else is going on in the United States at the time. The impeachment of Donald J. Trump. So the entire media was focused almost solely on that. 24/7 impeachment, 24/7 impeachment, 24/7 impeachment. Oh, there's this weird new virus coming out of China. Oh, who cares? Impeachment. And in fact, our news media also played it down. When Trump did the travel ban from China, the media savaged him. This is just some xenophobic bullshit, they said. Not in those exact words, but yes, they kind of did. And in fact, there's articles in the Washington Post, and the New York Times, and all kinds of places saying, the editorials, you're making a bigger deal out of this than you need to. It's just it could be no worse than the flu. Well, yeah, because that's what the WHO was still saying, although they finally made it a health emergency. But now it's in a few other countries. But think about it. From the middle of November until January 30th, how many people traveled in and out of China during that time? You wonder why it's showing up in the entire world? Because everybody travels, and especially the United States. If one person gets to the United States, they don't know it, and people are very mobile in the United States, travel around the country all the time. Of course, there's a chance of this spreading, but you know what? You really don't know it until the organizations that are dealing with health, the scientists. Why did you listen to the scientists? Well, the scientists in January were saying, well, there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission, and the only places people are dying are in China. Well, of course you're not thinking, oh, this is going to be a worldwide pandemic. But by March 11th, finally, the World Health Organization declares it a pandemic. And by then, the United States had already banned travel from China. It banned travel from Europe. We had a team working on the different aspects of it from the White House. We already had cases in Washington. In fact, it was starting to blow up in Washington. And so on what planet, unless you have a flawless crystal ball that told you to disregard the words of the World Health Organization? Imagine in January, had President Trump, when the World Health Organization said there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission, what would the news media had done had Donald Trump said, okay, fine, we're shutting the country down today? They would have been howling. What are you talking about? There's not even evidence of human-to-human transmission. You're doing this, blah, 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 blah. I think my experience as I'm listening to this whole pile of bullshit is that the president has pretty much... Look, when he was talking about reopening the country, maybe by April 12th, blah, blah, blah. And, but he said, you know what? That's kind of a wish list. He was thinking out loud. That's his wish list. And everyone's losing their mind. Well, we're not going to open up the back of our state. We're not doing this. He wants people to die. Yeah, he wants people to die. No, he just has kind of a hope that we could possibly do it by then. But he's going to go back and listen to his advisors, and he's going to, listen to their recommendations. They'll make a decision. Honestly, so far, the president has pretty much taken their advice every single time. Every time. Right? So, and even in this last case, he said, you know what, we're going to continue the president's guideline for the coronavirus prevention, blah, 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 through the end of April. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean now some states have already done their stay-at-home orders or whatever, but that's the presidential guidelines are going to stay on until the end of April. Because that is what? That's what his advisors recommend, which basically everything they've done has been what the advisors recommend. So regardless of how much Donald Trump has this tendency to think out loud, off the cuff, say things that are blah, 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 that kind of can be confusing to those who want to take him out of context, or, can be fodder for all the dickheads in the news media. At the end of the day, if you watch what he does, he's been very deferential to his experts and staying within those recommended guidelines. And whatever, his team obviously is the one who says, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Burke are the ones who are convincing him to take some of these actions. And he's following their, following their recommendations. So that, for all you people who hate Trump, you should take some solace in that and actually give him credit for listening to his advisors. And he has been all along. He's been listening to them since the day one that we've been hearing about this. But in day one, which really for the United States was January 31st, because the World Health Organization wasn't notified till December 31st. Well, in that first month that supposedly he should have been already doing stuff, he should have been already getting supplies, this and that, yada, yada, yada. Well, no. No, because that's not what the experts were saying. That's not what the scientists were saying. The scientists were saying, well, there's no evidence of human transmission. And people are bitching because, oh, he sent a bunch of medical supplies to China in January. Well, China was fighting this in January. So you want them to fight it there. Kind of like you want to fight the terrorists there, not here? Well, you want to fight the virus there, not here, if you can. Although China lied and didn't, or I don't know, lie by omission, whatever. Didn't tell anybody till it was already too late. But we didn't know that at the time. We didn't know that it was being transmitted by human to human contact. It's easy. It's so easy to be a Monday morning quarterback and point fingers. And you should use this playbook, not that playbook. And you should have had that man. You should have been playing zone coverage instead of man-to-man, because zone coverage would have caught this issue. And that's what everyone's doing right now. Nancy Pelosi, it's not Thursday, but FTG. Some good news. Blue Moon Brewery delivers. Blue Moon is the beer that elevates any night and is now available delivery straight to your home. Shop now. But all of Trump's advisors are white. Yeah, whatever. Blue Moon delivers, though. Woohoo! Oh, another weird thing. Here's this is hilarious. I saw this article, cracks me up. Illegal drug prices surge amid pandemic. Heroin and meth prices skyrocket as cartels struggle to get chemicals they need from China. China has pretty much stopped the production of the chemicals they need to do business. Sorry, heroin users, you're going to have to pay a little more right now. Turkey and Spain and Czechoslovakia are throwing out thousands of tests sent by China because they don't work. The Netherlands just announced nearly half of its Chinese tests are faulty. China's coronavirus diplomacy suddenly not going so well. They're finding that probably some places 60% of the tests that China sends out don't work. Oh, but they're helping the world so much. What else? Taiwan says the WHO failed to act on the coronavirus transmission warning. Relationship with Beijing blamed for not sharing. Yeah, see, at Taiwan, they wanted to tell the story. The doctors wanted to tell the story, but now because they're an official part of China, Taiwan, no. Now, this is while the National Institute of Health failed to test coronavirus drugs. It studied some of the stuff that the National Institute of Health studies instead of how to actually help people. National Institute of Health failed to test coronavirus drugs, studied drunk monkeys, soap operas, and tailgating instead. Experts warned the agency as much as 87.5% of biomedical research was wasteful. On a steamy summer day inside the lecture auditorium of the storied National Institutes of Health headquarters, Dr. Michael Bracken delivered a stark message to an audience that dedicated its life and owed its living to medical research. As much as 87.5% of biomedical research is wasted or inefficient, the respected Yale University you know what that is, declared in a sobering assessment. For a federal research agency that spends about $40 billion a year on medical studies, he backed his staggering statistic with these additional stats. 50 out of every 100 medical studies fail to produce published findings, and half of those that do publish have serious design flaws, and those that aren't flawed and manage to publish are often needlessly redundant. Waste is more than just a waste of money and resource, Bracken preached to the audience back in July 2016. According to the National Institute of Health's official accounts of the speech, it can actually be harmful to people's health. Nearly 4 years later, Bracken's sweeping indictment about the financial management organization and conduct of federal medical research looms large over a series of what-if questions about the deadly and ever-spreading COVID-19 pandemic. What if research community hadn't bet all its marbles on the next pandemic coming from a flu instead of a version of the coronavirus? What if the NIH or other agencies had funded research into the efficacy of drugs like chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, remdesivir, however you say that, and HIV cocktails that had shown promise against coronavirus dating back to 2003? What if more pressure had been applied to the medical governance world to develop vaccines aimed at coronavirus? What if the medical community had simply adjusted its outdated modeling that predicted coronavirus would spread slowly and could be contained to account for the massive global growth in global air travel the last decades that transported the virus from China to the West in treacherously fast time? And again, all these places that get direct flights from China, from Wuhan in particular, it's a big giant city. I mean, they have direct flights to Wuhan. And it just got spread all over the world thanks to whatever. Anyway, you get the point. Here's some of the things that the National Institute of Health spent money on. $3.7 million so researchers at Oregon Health and Science University could compel monkeys to drink excessively to determine the impact of drunkenness on tissues, organs, and central nervous systems. They spent money on drunk monkeys. $3 million to study why lesbian women are likely to be 2 times more overweight than gay men. $700,107 for the study of impact of televisions and gas generators on villages in Vietnam. This is the National Institute of Health, the American National Institute of Health. $542,000 for a 12-episode soap opera on the love lives of HIV-infected patients. $3.54 million for a series of anti-obesity hip-hop songs to see if they would encourage kids to skip the fries and eat healthier. They spent $3.5 million on anti-obesity hip-hop songs. $35,000 for a University of Missouri study on whether text messaging college students before pre-football game tailgates would lead to less alcoholism. So they spent $35,000 on text messages. $350,000 for Yale University and Arizona State University to measure whether young adults between 21 and 30 would lose more money gambling if they drank alcohol. Oh my God. Do drunk gamblers lose more money than sober gamblers? I wonder. My guess could be close to the same. Anyway, there's your National Institute of Health. All right, time for trends. Let's go into the Twitter trends because I threw up in my mouth a little bit over that one. Here we go. Into the Twitter trends. I'm getting into the Explore tab real quick. We're going to make this quick today because I'm already late, as usual. Of course, the coronavirus is the hot topic in the upper cover tab. Let's see. Updated numbers. Total number of global cases has reached 700,000, including more than 30,000 fatalities. Over 150,000 patients are reported to have recovered. That's good news. Get the latest updates from around the world. Now, again, that's only cases where they've tested that many people, which is interesting because, like, for example, in the United States, we just reached 875,000 people have been tested, and with only about 10% of those turning up positive for the virus. It's interesting. USNS Comfort, the hospital ship, arrives in New York to provide aid to hospitals. UK coronavirus restrictions could continue for 6 months. Russia closes borders and places Moscow into quarantine. The Olympics have been rescheduled to July 23rd, 2021. Australia passes 4,000 cases. Zimbabwe enters 21-day lockdown. Let's see anything else on here. 203 countries and territories have now reported cases, so basically the entire world. Now they're up to almost 11,000 deaths in Italy, 6,800 in Spain. 20% of patients have reportedly recovered. So there's still people not in the clear. And then the FDA gives anti-malaria drugs emergency approval to treat COVID-19. Pandemic of novel coronavirus has claimed the lives of more than 34,000 people across the globe. There are now more than 723,000 cases diagnosed. That's only diagnosed. I'm guessing there's more than a million or more that haven't been, probably, that are just, some have been cases where they didn't have heavy symptoms, and I'm guessing the rest are cases they have not discovered yet. All right, moving on. Trending number one. I don't know if this is something they added or what, but now today is National Doctors Day. Timing at its finest. Andrew Cuomo says to each and every doctor putting his or her life at risk to save the lives of others, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You are the unwavering frontline soldiers, angels, and heroes in this war. You make New York proud. Good message from the governor of New York. Vala Afshar, the doctor, rallied his co-workers to create entertaining dance videos, bringing some brightness to a dark time. So, okay, I'm glad they spent their time doing that. But you know what? Every once in a while, you just got to have some relief. So some different doctors doing this just to, let's see. Is there music to this?
Now left foot, right foot, now left foot, right foot, now left foot, right foot, now left foot. One hand, two hands, hit your rollie, do your dance,
Okay, that's cute. Well, you can check that out yourself. Anyway, boy, if there's groups of people that we're thankful to, anyone who's doing the work that gets you through this, the doctors, the nurses, the medical staff, the truckers, the people who are still keeping your grocery stores open, the people who stock shelves, the people who deliver food, people who deliver food to the elderly. You know, my mother gets Meals on Wheels back in Omaha. She's 90 years old, and my nephew who goes and makes sure and checks on her or talks to her every day, and I try to talk to her quite a bit. The people who help people who are shut in that maybe have a harder time helping themselves. You can't thank them enough. You can't thank any of these people enough. It's a difficult time. You just got to be thankful and appreciate the good and maybe not focus on all the bad like a lot of people on Twitter do. But then again, Twitter is a dumpster fire. Trending number 2 on the Twitters is Drake. And I'm thinking the artist Drake, and I don't know why he's treated up. Because Drake shares photo of his first son, Adonis. On not that they just had a baby, but there's pictures of the Drake's son. Aww, there we go. And that's why Drake is trending, because his cute little toe-headed kid is cute, and people are digging the pictures. Drake and Childish Gambino both showed their kids to the world for the first time this month. So these are the first time that their kids have been shown. Although Childish Gambino's kids are in masks. Okay, so moving on. That's why Drake's trending, and Training number 3, Monday morning, the U.S. Navy ship Comfort hospital ship arrives in New York City to help coronavirus victims. I don't know what that one's trapped in here. Let's see. Oh, there's Voice of Reason. Voice of Reason is always out there. I don't know why this person trends all the time, but this explains everything. And he says Donald Trump was the dumbest goddamn student I ever had. Wharton professor William T. Kelly, who had Trump in class. Okay, yeah, this is a good time for that. Yep, it's always a good idea. Let's just shit on the president right now. You know, he's doing everything he can to help people. Donald Glover, did I say what I say? Danny Glover? I don't know. Oh, you're digging Donald Glover. Okay, I got it. All right. Here's a Monday morning for you. Ernest and Charlene are happy campers. Yes, the dogs are having some good time with the old master there. These basset hounds. I love basset hounds. They're the goofy, just the droopiest looking dogs. But anyway, more than 9,000 retired Army medical personnel respond to call for assistance with the coronavirus. Oh yeah, that's right. A lot of retired and people who are no longer listed in the Army are helping in different parts of the world. Oh my God! And then Chad Pavlitz. How did this happen? Now he's the top here. When you believe one man above science, above our intelligence agencies, above former CIA directors and retired generals and revered journalists, No such thing, John. You are fully indoctrinated. This is John's article, The Cult of Trump. I'm going to just right-click that so I can read it later. I'll bookmark it. That way I'll find it later. These people are just so out of their gourds. Can you just, you know what? Are you helping John Pavlovitz? Are you helping with this article? Are you helping at all? Write something that helps and not something that tries to tear someone down. You're just an ass. Again, I say that Trump has been, regardless of how he speaks, he verbalizes every thought in his head. He still has followed the advice of the advisors on this. And so I'll give him credit for that. Hashtag coronavirus truth is trending. Oh, isn't that cute? I'm sure this is another anti-Trump dream. Know the facts. Now, here's the only place that, you really should be looking for coronavirus truth. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention. If you go onto most sites or if you go onto YouTube, there's a thing you can click that takes you directly to their website for the actual facts, because the people on Twitter, they don't know. They just guessing. Corona or karma? Coronavirus. It's time to reflect. I don't know what that means. Oh. See, now, this is one of those people who I think want to say that the earth is getting back at you. Yes, just like I don't know what this means. Anyway. Oh, see, they're saying GMOs do it. Okay. They're saying that this is karma for humans. Okay, well, there you go. Let's see. May God bless our medical doctors. 90% of nurses and more than half the doctors are female because of COVID-19. Oh, does this say this affects women more thing? Let's read this. 90% of nurses and more than half of the doctors are female because of COVID-19. Of protective gear, hazmat suits, and shortage of supplies. Women are cutting their hair, wearing adult diapers, and taking birth control pills to delay their menstrual cycle. Women will forever be the warriors for humanity. Oh, and Dean Obadiah. King TDS. Trump speculates hospitals are stealing ventilators, masks. Are they going out the back door? No, actually, on February 7th, with the virus already spreading in the U.S., Trump shipped nearly 18 tons of medical equipment, including masks, to China. Not a conspiracy. You know what? Yes, they did. Yes, they did send equipment to the hotspot of coronavirus in the world. Okay, and if they hadn't sent it, would you be hearing about it? Would you be hearing about it? Okay, I've had enough of this hashtag. Oh, the lockdown is trending. It's just, let's see. See what stay at home have caused. I'm leaving this on because I forgot to turn the metal on. All right. I know it's Metal Monday. I forgot to do the metal, but this is better than Metal Monday. I promise. Okay. Hand sanitizer seller tested positive for COVID-19. Oh my God. Say what? Okay. I gotta stop. I gotta find something that has nothing to do with coronavirus. Oh, Khabib trending. UFC fighter Khabib versus Tony versus what? UFC 249 set to continue without Khabib as he is stranded in Russia. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of travel bans around the world, including Russia. Paper Mario is trending number 9, whatever that means. Let's see. Rumor Nintendo planning Super Mario re-release remasters to celebrate Super Mario Brothers 35th anniversary. Oh my God. Super Mario Brothers has been around for 35 years. I suppose it was on those first Nintendo games. There was always Super Mario Brothers. Holy smokes! If you think about it, Donkey Kong was around in the mid to late 70s. So that's how old. Not same. Donkey Kong. I'm trying to think. It came out in like 79 or something like that. Holy smokes! Oh, thank you, Some Tim Wong. Some Ting Wong. Thank you. Oh, by the for the $2.23. I'm getting ready to make a run to the homeless despot. Wish me luck. Thank you, Some Ting Wong. What's weird is when I was leaving UPS this morning, I got a robocall. You know how you get robocalls and there's on marketers on cell phones now all the time? And it said it was from Chicago, but the robocall was in Chinese. And I was like, wait a minute. And literally, the robocall, the recording started talking to me in Chinese, and it repeated in Chinese. And so I just started talking fake Chinese. I was like, and but nobody answered the phone, so never mind, it didn't work. Anyway, so that's why Paper Mario's trending. Whatever. Pusha T, Hip Top, Ronnie Lott, as in Ronnie Lott, the football player? Okay. Oh, top 5 safeties. People are arguing about the top 5 safeties of all time. Ronnie Lott's definitely in that mix. Darren Sharper? Fuck that guy off the field, though. John Lynch, Brian Dawkins. I don't know about that. Ed Reed, yeah, he was damn good. Toy Polamalu, he was good. Chuck Cecil was good. Okay, they're putting out some pretty good names here, but yeah, Ronnie Lott. Ooh, he was a beast. All right, No Russian is trending. Something to do with gaming. Oh man, I can't wait for the No Russian mission to be remastered because of a huge media shitstorm again. Oh, yeah, something about Call of Duty. Let's see. Call of Duty. Breaking, PlayStation Store Germany has leaked the Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered trailer and screenshots. No Russian mission has returned in Call of Duty. Okay, all right, whatever. Call of Duty. That's Call of Duty news. Jimmy Aaron, how you doing? Also, Dead Kaiser. I didn't say hello yet. Someone else showed up. Shiagrath, how you doing? And there's some other names that I've been seeing, but I didn't say hi to yet. If I didn't say hi to you, don't take it personally. I just haven't been watching the chat real super closely. All right, let's go real quick. Johnson & Johnson training. They began human trials on COVID-19 vaccine. Oh, that's good. I think we already knew this though. CNN Health, pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson announced on Monday that it plans to initiate human clinical trials of its COVID-19 vaccine candidate by September and anticipates the first batches of the vaccine could be available for emergency use by early next year. All right, so that's good news. That's why Johnson & Johnson is trending. They had begun some human trial. This news is a few days old because they already had begun that, but for some reason it's popping up now thanks to the Wall Street Journal and CNN, but whatever. Quincy Jones is trending. Don't be okay. DJ saying Quincy Jones isn't that big a deal is the main reason why I don't fuck with half these DJs now. Just hipsters with no music knowledge. Quincy gave us Thriller. Shut your dumb ass up. Nobody will ever repeat that. If you discount Quincy Jones, you're really showing how incredibly ignorant you are. This guy is music. Quincy Jones was the man. Come on, give me a break. So apparently some DJ dissed Quincy Jones, and I don't know why, but when I see people having the fucking audacity to compare Quincy Jones to Kanye, I would take that the other way around. Oh, I say that young man said Kanye had better production than Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones is a music legend. I mean, come on. You can't dispel Quincy Jones. Get out of here. Anyway, some people are also giving us those thoughts on Twitter that these people who don't know about Quincy Jones don't know shit. And I agree. All right. Orban, Hungary's PM Orban granted indefinite unlimited powers with coronavirus bill. Oh. And they say Trump is a dictator. The Hungarian parliament passed a law on Monday that extends Prime Minister Viktor Orban's authority to near unlimited power. In the law, which is prompted by the coronavirus coronavirus crisis, Orban now has the right to rule by decree indefinitely and has already proclaimed a number of new measures. Democracy watchers, as a result, are voicing concerns over the PM's tightening grip on the European Union member country. What could go wrong? I don't know. Holy shit. That's kind of... that deserves a... but for real. Anyway, so that's why he's trending. Wait a minute. Okay, now hold on. Because I do have to go. But on that one, I want to scroll through and see what the first Trump tweet... not Donald Trump, but a Trump tweet about Trump being a dictator is. Let's see here. How long will it take? Okay, this is a coup by Orban. The EU should take away Hungary's vote instantly, and the US must condemn Orban. This is completely unacceptable. Straight out of the 1930s. I agree with that 100%. That's crazy. Never give that much power to one person. Let's see. Oh, here, and it only took 2 tweets. This is the future of the United States if we don't stop it. Orban is an early warning signal. You are not very bright. I'm not going to do it. In the old days, in 2015, I would have said, go drink bleach. But that's, I'm not, do I tweet that? I'm just, you are a better, here, this is better. You are not a serious person. There, that's my reply. All right. Anyway, that's not, but still, that is not a good sign. Only took 2 though. I knew it would be somewhere near the top. All right, moving on. Coronavirus 3. What the hell does that mean? Coronavirus 3 is trending. Watching Coronavirus 3, and I really wish all these old dudes suddenly so concerned about future where young people are in massive debt and without access to healthcare would have thought of that literally any time before now. Wouldn't have stopped the coronavirus there, dear. Sorry. Just woke up and see Coronavirus 3 trending. It's just John Oliver with an update. Okay. Oh, that's what it is. Oh, my God. And of course, it's so profoundly disheartening that we're being led through this crisis by a man who may be less equipped to deal with this historical moment than anybody in recorded history. Well, that's why he has advisors and he's been following their advice. So shut the fuck up! It's a segment from John Oliver. And everyone's freaking out. Saud is trending. Let's see. Y'all not here said just file Saud handled the situation. I don't know. Okay. Okay. I have no idea. And I don't care. We'll skip that. Gathy. That's the name of a kid on my son's basketball team. Justin Gathy or something like that. Let's see. Nope, Tony shouldn't take a fight with Gathy. That's bullshit. Oh, I see. That's the fight that they canceled because Habib can't get here from Russia for UFC. I'm going to skip that. Nobody cares. Modern Warfare 2 and Fangraphs is the last thing trending. Fangraphs, we're asking you, if you read our work, ask our writers questions and chats, listen to our podcast, browse roster resource, peruse the board for prospect rankings, or use our stat pages, please consider a Fangraphs membership. I don't even know what Fangraphs is. Oh, no baseball has meant a lot less traffic for Fangraphs. That means a lot less revenue. We now know is a tough time to ask for help, but if you can, we'd sure appreciate your support. Please consider a grant. Okay, some Fangraphs baseball thing, e-begging. So there you go. All right. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a day at the Morning Night Live. I know I'm kind of go on these stupid coronavirus rants, but there's just so many stupid people out there, and it's really annoying. And I wish people were focused more on what they can do or what they can do for their community or their, or just not do, like as stay your ass indoors, rather than just bitching about Trump all the time. And like I said, I was skeptical of Trump back in 2016 when there was an election for the 45th president of the United States, And I'm going to say that for the most part, I agree with most of done. And I don't think that anyone who is in the office of President of the United States at this time would be going through the same shit, because it's government works on its own. The Center for Disease Control works on its own. All the National Institute of Health works on its own. They're not directed directly by President Trump. And you only get you can only do what the recommendations say. And if you do more, then people are saying, oh, you're overriding the World Health Organization and the Center for Disease Control. Well, in January, the Center for Disease Control took its cues from the World Health Organization, which said this was not, it didn't seem like a big deal. No human-to-human transmissions. No, at least no evidence yet. And then we got evidence. Oh, shit, we just, this is way worse. By the time they were at this is way worse, kind of too late, right? I'm just saying. I did say home. I said hi to Johnny Aaron, right? Hi, Johnny Aaron. What's up? Johnny Aaron, are you new here? If you're new here, Johnny Aaron, and you like what you're hearing, or even if you don't like what you're hearing and you just want to yell at me, hit the subscribe and click the little bell before you go. And speaking of which, I gotta go. So, thanks for being here, everybody. Morning Night Live is here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. GMT for people around the world who don't live where I live. And if you really like what you do, hit the like button on the way out, that little thumbs up. Duck Dog, I see you were here. You didn't say it, but you were here. And so you can hit the thumbs down. And share the stream. If you're watching after the fact, make a comment in the comment section. Or if you want to make a comment in the comment section, come back and make a comment in the comment section in about an hour, because the replay will be up by then. And you can do it then. And I'll know you were here, and I can say thank you. And finally, if you want to support the show, the continuance of the Morning Night Live, you people who support us financially, support me financially, are instrumental in making this show run. And the people in the chat, too, because that's the fun part of the show. So, if you want to do that, PDawgnight.live, the Streamlabs link in the description down below, wherever you want to do it. And we will obviously read your chats on the air, on the broadcast, so that you become a permanent part of the Morning Night Live. So on that note, I got to say thanks everybody for being here. Of course, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Remember, this Friday, the 300th episode and a 600 subscribers special, and it's my birthday because today is the first day of birthday week. I didn't push that too much, but I named the stream that because I couldn't think of a name of the stream that fast until the first day of birthday week. Sounds pretty good to me. Yes, it is my birthday this week. Well, the end of the week, but we'll do that show on Friday. Thank you so much for being here on the Morning Night Live. My name is PDawg Night, and I'm out of here. Have a great day. Hey, this is PDawg Night, and thank you for watching today on the PDawg Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawg Night, and I'm out of here.